Okay, hi. So I'm just going to make this video and see what happens. Um, and this is about my eating disorder recovery / journey. So it's not really an easy thing for me to talk about, but I just felt the need to make this story in case it might help someone out. And I've posted my story on Instagram, but this is kind of just me verbalizing my thoughts. It's kind of a beast that lurks, and you don't notice it until many, many years later when you see what it's done to your life. And that was the way it was for me, because initially it was all very harmless. And where it started for me was during my undergrad. I had previously been an athlete my whole life. Like, I did swim for most of my life, and that was very competitive and intensive. And so I was just always working out and exerting myself. And I didn't really worry about what I ate or anything. It was just kind of like not really something that I thought about when I was in high school. But then in college, when I wasn't swimming anymore, and I was living away from home, so I basically was feeding myself. Like, I could eat whatever I wanted. Didn't really think much about it. But then I put on a whole bunch of weight because obviously I wasn't working out. And so that was like, oh, what's happening there? So I think at a certain point I got to a stage where I was like, okay, I need to kind of pay attention to how I'm taking care of my body. So I started working out and eating healthy. I started out kind of slow, like I would work out every other day. But then somewhere down the line that increased to like every day. And I was also restricting my calories and food and weighing myself every day. I got to a stage where I was sort of training myself to see being hungry as a good thing, like to go to bed feeling hungry, just to go as long as I could go without eating, and just always trying to eat as little calories as possible. And I stopped eating dinner at a certain point. Like, I just refused to eat dinner. I would just eat breakfast and lunch. And then when I was with friends or family, I would just tell them like, oh, I'm not going to eat dinner. Or I would eat like a tiny snack or something, and then I would feel better if I ate less in that day. So, and I was somewhat tracking calories at that point. It wasn't just about being healthy. It was just like, oh, well, I used to be thin, so I want to get back to that childlike look, like the slim frame. That kind of snowballed for a while without me really seeing it. I was working out at least once a day, like often twice. Like, I would do a workout class for an hour, and then I felt like that was not enough. And so I would go straight from there to the gym to work out some more until I felt like that was a good amount. And I just got into that habit of eating like basically 2 giant salads a day with a little bit of like carrots and hummus or chicken or something like that. And then oatmeal for breakfast. Along with walking everywhere. I wouldn't take public transport anywhere, and working out like once or twice a day. And I obviously lost a lot of weight really quickly. And I kind of felt really triumphant because I was like congratulated by my friends and family, but also like they were somewhat concerned. But at the time of my state of thinking, I saw that concern as like a good thing. I felt almost proud of that. Like, I'm getting my body to a stage where people are worried about me. Like, I must be doing something right. What? After about a year and a half of this exercising all the time and eating really restrictively, I stopped having my period. And I noticed that, but it was always sort of irregular. Like, during my swim seasons, I wouldn't have one for many months, and then it would come back. But at this point, it just kind of stopped coming back. It was an average of 3 periods per year for 6 years. And then more recently, it was just like 2 years of just nothing. Like, not at all, no spotting, like nothing whatsoever. But when it started, I wasn't really that concerned because I wasn't trying to conceive or have children anytime soon, and that was kind of on the back burner, so I didn't really care. But once that kind of goes on for a really long time, it reflects your lack of health, so to speak. And it's like, okay, something's not right. I need to fix this eventually. But didn't really listen to people. My doctors, I would sort of tell them, like, okay, I'm not having a period, like something must be wrong. And they would say, yeah, like you need to gain weight. Your body's not healthy. Sort of, they would tell me that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, like, I don't want to. So, and I know that I looked really thin and like sickly almost. And I was kind of freaked out by it, but also sort of like, I don't want to look like anything else. And the pity that I got from people, I sort of cherished it in a sick way. And over time, I did gain some weight back, and I started incorporating more like healthy and calorically dense foods like proteins and fats into my diet. But my mind was still not in the right place. Like I still wanted to look really thin. I still wanted to lose weight. And I wanted to eat so that I could look a certain way. And so that led me to just trying all these different diets. And at a certain point, I tried the keto diet. And this is a disclaimer, I don't have anything against the keto diet. I think it's really helpful for a lot of people, especially with autoimmune disease. But I'm going to say this in terms of how it affected me. So I started this diet because one of my doctors thought that I might have PCOS because of my lack of period, and then a few of my bloods which were off. And he sort of gave me really vague advice and put me on metformin, which didn't help me get my period back, obviously. But I did my own medical research, as I do, noting that people would do the ketogenic diet to help their PCOS symptoms. And a lot of people had gotten their period back from it. But I knew that I had sort of a history with disordered eating, and I didn't want to fall into that trap again. And so I was trying to moderate. But with keto, it's kind of difficult to do that. As many of you guys would know, it's a pretty intensive diet, and you have to track everything and pay very close attention to numbers. I'm very good at that, but it also kind of messes with my brain. Like, it just consumes me in a way that is not helpful. Hoping that it wouldn't take over my life, but it ended up doing just that. So I sort of got addicted to all of the benefits that I was feeling. Like, it definitely helped me a lot. Mentally, like, I felt really clear. I lost a lot of water weight, and I felt like my mental energy was really good throughout the day. But then I was having some other symptoms that weren't so great, like heart issues. I couldn't sleep properly. And then I started passing out due to electrolyte imbalance. And that happened a few times, like at work and at home, and it was a bit scary. I ended up going from specialist to specialist. My doctor was really concerned and all these blood tests done and getting MRIs and stuff. $2,500 out of my pocket because I don't have Medicare here in Australia, and was diagnosed with multiple things: OCD, health anxiety, chronic depression, etc. And eating disorder was one of these things. And that was something I really struggled with because I was thinking, I do not look like I have an eating disorder. Like, the very least the world could offer me was to actually look like I did. Why? But I didn't really have a solution. Like, what do I do with this? Long story short, the keto diet caused me a lot more issues than it was helping, and causing me a lot more stress because I just couldn't be normal socially. I couldn't go anywhere without constantly obsessing over what I was going to eat. It was just always on my mind, and I felt like I was losing control. But I started putting on weight, even though I was still maintaining the keto diet. My body was just so stressed out, and I was super sensitive to everything, basically. And so I was just having these crazy ups and downs, and it wasn't helping me anymore in the way that it used to. that was hard to deal with because I felt like I was trying to control everything, and finally it was not working anymore. So what do? I had been so restrictive and controlling, and as part of that, OCD complex was causing me to engage in extreme behaviors that were not helping me. I was gaining weight, and I just thought, like, okay, if I can't get back to this slim, sickly looking body that I used to have, why don't I just use this to my advantage? I'm done dealing with all of this nonsense. Like, I should just get my period back if I'm going to be gaining weight. So I just decided to go all in. And what that meant was no more cardio, no more dieting. I just could eat whatever and how much I couldn't track and all of that. I wasn't weighing myself. There were certain things that I changed about my training and eating that were supposed to take care of my body rather than to control it. And that was really difficult because I was not used to that way of thinking. And honestly, I couldn't have done it if it weren't for prayer and for God, like, helping me along that path. My faith is really important to me, and that is ultimately the hope that I have that kept me going, because I wouldn't have that otherwise. Let's just put it that way. And once I kind of changed my mindset, it really didn't take me very long before I got my period back. And that was so exciting for me. And when I was finally seeing what I was doing as a way to take care of myself and to take care of my body in a way that would be able to have children and to raise a family one day naturally, and not to kind of promote this aesthetic that in my mind was the ultimate. I was finally taking care of my body and allowing it to be a woman and embracing my natural figure, which took a lot of breaking down some unhealthy mindsets that I had just accumulated over the years. It took a while, and I'm still working on it, but I think I've been brought to the right place. And rather than allowing something I love, food and fitness, to control me or to start taking over my life, I now see it as a gift. Like, it's something that still exists in my life in a beautiful way, but I know now how to be careful to not entertain those thoughts of, like, okay, how can I eat a certain way so I can look like this? How can I control everything that I'm eating? And how can I sort of break myself down in that way? Rather, using those things as a way to build myself up and to build other people up in a positive way that allows growth mentally, physically, spiritually, rather than chaos, which is what was happening before. So, yeah, that's my story. And of course, it's still continuing, as all stories. And like the old cliche goes, it's all about the journey, not the destination. I've learned to treat my body as a temple rather than to judge it. So I hope this was helpful to anyone who might be going through something similar. If so, you can comment below or send me a message. I would love to hear from you guys and what you're going through as well. And hopefully I can help you in that regard. So have a lovely rest of your day or week. Bye.